Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Verse number 4, please. A few things about that. Tamekanimim trivrittam shodashantam
Tamekanimim trivrittam shodashantam
Shatardharam vimshati pratyarabhihi
Shatardharam vimshati pratyarabhihi
Ashtakair shadbhihi
Ashtakair shadbhihi
Vishwarupaikapasham
Vishwarupaikapasham
Trimargabhedam
Trimargabhedam
Dvinimittaikamoham.
Dvinimittaikamoham.
Yeah, this is a very interesting verse, and answers two questions in one in one verse, which is beautiful. The first question that it answers is, how did this one become many? So, ekanemi, one thing, that one which is the source. Then you have 3, and then before you know it, you have jumped to 16, and then after that 50, the spokes of the wheels, and then 8, and all the other numbers in between. So it's like if you take infinity, and then you take all the mathematical numbers, 1 to whatever, then all those numbers are included in infinity, but infinity is not any one of them. That is the whole idea here. Rather than get caught up in the various schools of thought, this is the best way to look at it, is that how did this one Brahman become all these things in the universe? And then being of a human mind and having limited imagination and limited logic, limited everything, the understanding is also very limited. And what do we think? We think, okay, Brahman was like a big, piece of pizza dough, and out of that you make so many pizzas, each pizza is like a little Jeeva, and then you keep making them, and then what happens to Brahman?
Gets smaller.
Yeah, so this is the lay understanding. So Brahman was this much, then a few more jivas incarnated, then some new species, and then some more other things, and then test tube babies and in vitro fertilization, and then there is no more Brahman, because if Brahman is the raw material and the intelligence out of which this Jagat has come and is continuing to come, meaning in the sense that we say, the physicists will tell us that this is an expanding universe. It's not a contracting universe, it's an expanding universe. And what do they mean by an expanding universe? If supposing you have a balloon with dots on it, polka dots, and it's an unblown balloon, and then the dots will be, you can measure the dots and they will be close together, correct? And then you blow, what happens to the dots? They get further and further apart. That is what is the best way of understanding an expanding universe. This is what the physicists tell us. What they cannot understand is what is causing that expansion. For us, that's not a problem. We say that is Ishvara. So if it's an ever-expanding universe, meaning that there are more and more galaxies being discovered, more and more habitable planets, in what is called the Goldilocks Zone. What does the Goldilocks Zone mean?
Not too hot, not too cold.
Neither too hot nor too cold, just right for life. So they are keeping on finding so many things. That means that either they did not see it before, some of them are like that, but most of the time what is the case is that they are seeing, new things which were not there before. And so therefore what? So therefore, how is this Brahman not being affected by this? What is this? What is this trick? They they say that Draupadi, who is Draupadi?
The wife of
In Mahabharata, she had a Akshaya Patra. Patra means a pot. Akshaya means never exhausting pot, inexhaustible pot. So then they were in the forest for 13 years, 12 years, and then 1 year incognito they had to hide. This was an exile. So they went to the forest and then she took the pot along with her. See, if you can take only one thing, that's a good thing to take. And then all she had to do is point to the pot and say, only she could operate this pot. All she had to do is point to the pot and say, pot, do your job. Make something. And it would make delicious things at any time. Nobody else could make it do this. And then, she never had to worry when they were in the forest how many guests came. Whether it was 5 or 50 or 500, the pot would estimate and then keep on, and then as soon as it touched the bottom, if you went with a ladle like this, again it would become full. You see? So Brahman is like that, in the sense that there is the creation we have to understand, and that is going to be made very, very clear here. The creation is not as real as Brahman. This we have to understand. I'm not going to say that the creation is not there, because if we say the creation is not there, who are we talking to? There is a listener, correct? And there is a talker, correct? So we get caught in our own thing. So we cannot dismiss the creation as non-existent. Because, if you say creation is non-existent, then, why are you getting up in the morning? Why are you cooking? Why are you cleaning? Why are you paying bills? All these we have to ask, correct? So we cannot say the creation is non-existent. At the same time, we cannot say the creation is existent. Why? All you have to do is go to sleep. Not now, okay? Yeah. But the creation is existent. If you say, that means it is never, it is always available. Existent means it is non-negatable, correct? So if you say the creation is existent, it should be non-negatable, but in sleep what happens? I don't care who is there, who is not there. I don't care what I'm sleeping on. I don't care, how much noise is being made after I've gone to sleep. It doesn't affect me. So therefore what? This creation is sometimes there and sometimes not there. So that means that there is a vyabhichara, a contradiction in terms of its existence. There is a movement. Sometimes existent, sometimes not existent. It's not available for me. It is not there all the time in the same way. Whereas I am there in sleep, correct? How do you know? Because when you wake up, you tell me, I slept so well, I don't remember anything. That's how you know you were in sleep. So the I is never negated. The I, of course, is equated to Brahman all the time. But the creation is got a very funny existence. This is what is called Maya. Maya means, supposing there is something called existence and there is non-existence. Existence means something that is there. Non-existence means something that just is not there at all and cannot be there. Like a square-shaped circle. Is it there? No. Or the horns of the rabbit. Not there. So that is called asat. Existence means sat, correct? But this Maya is very cleverly positions herself in between. Where? In between sat and asat. That is her home. That is where she is at home. Why is she there? To confuse everyone. That's the only reason. Why is she there right bang in the middle of sat and asat? So that the jagat becomes more fun for us. So why are we confused? So that we can overcome our confusion. I mean, there is no other response. So this Maya, or the other term is Mithya. This creative power of Brahman, which is Maya, which is Mithya, basically. And so this Maya is you cannot categorically dismiss it as non-existent. Like even a pothole on an Indian road when you're driving from place to place. And if you tell this is all Maya, it really doesn't exist, and then you drive over it, this is mithya, then after crossing over several mithya potholes, you will have to go and see a mithya chiropractor. That's what will happen. And this mithya is not understood. So people just, forget this. They think mithya is illusion or delusion. It's not illusion. It is the as though power of Brahman to make things appear to be there without really being there. The only real thing is Brahman alone. And that Brahman is at once available as I. When I say I am, that's what it is. So this Brahman is not remote, somewhere sitting, waiting for something to happen. Brahman is here and now, available as I. So that answers the first question, how out of this one Brahman came all these things. So that non-separate material and the maker are non-separate. That's what we have. From that same source is the raw material. From the standpoint of the raw material, we say feminine, mithya, maya. And then from the standpoint of the intelligence that operates the raw material, we say Ishvara. That is what it is. The two are one really. We have divided it because of our own divisive capacities. And so this is the understanding. This answers the first question. How did this one become many? What is the answer? As though, without really undergoing any change, Brahman manifests as the Jagat. What is the example? Like when you have your dream. In dream, you have, let's say you're dreaming, you are sitting in some kirtan or singing, lot of people are singing with you, and there are musical instruments also. And then there is a wonderful room, everybody is sitting, there is a big satsang. If you dream that, who are all these people in the dream? You. Well, what about the insentient things like the musical instruments and the prasad and all these things? That's also you. Who is you? That is also you. Your own memories, your own knowledge manifests as the dream, and when its job is done, it folds back into you. Because when you wake up, you don't look for the dream, materials under the bed, thinking that they may have dropped there. No. It folds back into you. So similarly, this is the best example to understand creation as non-separate from that intelligent conscious being, out of which everything has come and unto which everything, has been sustained. So Brahman does not become the Jagat and disappear. And Brahman neither is, like a number of predominant theologies appear to think. What do they think? That Brahman is sitting somewhere after making the Jagat, sitting somewhere else outside. No. That cannot be. Because again, the problem is it will become limited. This is what we have to see very, very carefully. So that is the first question it answers. What is that first question? How did this, how did this Brahman make this whole thing? How did this Brahman create all this without undergoing change? Number one. Then the second question, the verse number 4 also answers, this is important, is the other question of what is the nature, what is the relationship of the Jagat to Brahman? Does the Jagat means the manifest universe, does the Jagat have a creator-created relationship? Like Ishvara is the creator and then the Jagat is created. Or does it have a relationship of Ashraya? Ashraya means, the Jagat is under the refuge or being monitored by Ishvara. So what is the relationship between the Jagat and Brahman, or Jagat and Ishvara, whatever it is being discussed also here very, very subtly. Because if we say that the Jagat and the creator of the Jagat have a creator-created relationship, it's very tempting to go there. There are certain logical problems. The first logical problem is that we will have two things, creator and create, like mother and child. Even though we say that the goddess is the mother and Vishnu is father, Lakshmi is mother, whatever we say all these things. But that is more upachara. For our own, surrender, we say that. For the ease, for our own surrender and our own way of looking at Jagan Mata, Jagat Pita, the father and the mother of the universe, we say that. But really speaking, from an analytical standpoint, if that kind of a relationship were there, then what would happen is there would always be two. Yeah, then there would be no interest in growing up. Because one always wants to be mothered, right? One always wants to be mothered and parented. At what time is it, can you say, I no longer wish to be parented? You may say, I don't want to be smothered, but nobody will say, I don't want to be mothered. Yeah. You may say that, but still there is that longing for someone to take care of me. This is the human condition. In ignorance. The human being in ignorance, meaning where the inner child has a, reign. It goes around parading, and the inner child is that frozen bag of needs and desires which were not met. This is the problem. When maybe 100 lifetimes ago, one doesn't know, but the vasanas are strong. Vasanas means karmic imprints. Karmic imprints and residues are very strong. So the vasanas are strong, and every life one recreates this abandonment. And so from the point of view of the abandoned Jeeva, which is always that child, and that child is always wanting to be mothered. So we say, or fathered, or both. So what we say is that go ahead, this is a 2-point approach. Go ahead and visualize Ishvara as your mother and father. Why? Because the local mother and father are what? Leave a lot to be desired. They fall sick, they are fallible, they are not there when you needed them. They didn't do whatever you wanted them to do. And what did they do? Whatever you didn't want them to do, they did that. So this being the case, so the child growing up in the Hindu tradition is directed towards a certain force which it doesn't know Ishvara, Brahman, nothing, but it is directed towards having an altar of surrender where all the pain and sorrow focused on the mother and the father, the local mother and the father, are transferred on to Ishvara. This is super therapy, really. Not just therapy, super therapy. Why? Because, Devatas made of stone don't talk back. Yeah. They don't say, what is your problem? Why are you doing this? Nothing, So in a certain sense, it's a safe refuge. But then the refuge is a means to heal that inner split and schism so that one can be whole enough to understand that what I am surrendering to is the highest aspect of myself, really. That is the goal. So one doesn't, so it's like crutches, one is given a pair of crutches. Why? Because something went wrong with a foot, right? Yeah. Sometimes the Jeeva shoots itself in the foot by making wrong choices. So it's given a pair of crutches. Till how long? Till the foot heals, correct? So imagine somebody with a pair of crutches and then they are walking out with the crutches and then you say, what is wrong? Is something wrong? No, everything is okay. No, really, it's the left foot? No, it's fine. Right foot? No, that's also fine. So something wrong with your balance, some neurological problem? No, everything is okay. Then why are you carrying crutches? No, 3 years ago I had a problem. Still carrying the crutches. But the thing is, with the crutches, one cannot wait to get rid of them, correct? Yeah, one wants to throw them away. And people do funny things I have seen, these teenagers. and they will throw it in the air and all kinds of things. They will burn them. This is earlier when they were made of wood, now they are not. So, the crutches symbolize dependency, and nobody likes dependency. Really speaking, one does not like dependency. And so here we have to understand that this looking upon the Creator, Ishvara, Brahman, or however you want to look at it, as the father or the mother or from where I have come from, my own source, which is away from me, creates certain, problems that keep the Jeeva in the crutches mode. Meaning, there is no place for the full blossoming of one's own potential and nature. It's not there. And this is ironic because without going through this process of surrender and the process of discovering the infallible as the mother and the father, I cannot get here. And then many times it happens. And then what? Without doing that, I cannot get there. And then once I have done that, it's not that I stop becoming a devotee. I just become devoted. That's the idea. I become devoted to everything. Everything is Ishvara. I see that, including this body, mind, sense complex, including the observer. And so the second question is the relationship of the Brahman to the Jagat. Is the same, it's like what is the relationship between the rope and the snake? Are they friends or enemies? Do they go out for coffee together? The rope and the snake. Only if there are two things there can be a relationship. It's the same question that we can ask, what is the relationship between you, the dreamer, and the dream? It's just a manifestation of your knowledge. So even though the Jagat is dependent, the Jagat has an as-though relationship in relation to the only thing that is Sat, that is. And so this is the second question that verse number 4 answers. And the fifth verse aptly sends us into a lot of metaphors concerning the number 5. Panchasrotombum panchayonyugravakram Panchasrotombum panchayonyugravakram Panchapranormim Panchabuddhyadimulam Panchavartam Panchadukkhaugabegam Panchashadbhedam Panchaparvamadhimaha. Yeah, so this is again a beautiful verse, and when the first one talked about how the fourth one talked about how this Brahman became the Jagat, this one also talks about more of in that line and answers the interesting question, how did the third question, two questions we have seen, the third question is how did this Brahman become Jeeva? This is such an important question. How did I become Jeeva? How did I become a samsari? Oh, so sorry, samsari. How did I become a samsari? If I am Brahman, how did I become a samsari? This is a very common question. In satsangs, I am always asked this. If I am Brahman, I am not saying if you are Brahman, you are Brahman. Yeah, but if I am Brahman, how did I become a samsari? There is no if about it, okay? But this is a very important question. If I am Brahman, then how come I have hands and legs? And how come I am limited? You are not limited. You are Brahman. Yeah, but I can't be in 5 places at once. Even being in one place at once, you are creating so many problems. So imagine If you could be in 5 places at once, what would you do? Create more confusion, and it would be confusing for you as well. So really speaking here, this whole thing of how did this Brahman, as it were, become a Jeeva? The word Jeeva is a name for the person who is ignorant of himself or herself. The self-ignorant person who has a problem with disconnection from the whole is called Jeeva. We don't call you a Jeeva. If you call yourself a Jeeva, then it's a different thing. So that is the Jeeva. And the Jeeva can come in any form, from animal to bacteria to human being. These are all the avatars of the Jeeva. It comes in various avatars. And don't think it's like like we have the physical evolution like Darwin. First we have this unicellular animal and then monkey, gorilla, chimpanzee. That's not how the Jeevic evolution is. And this is very important, because if we think that, oh, I am a human being, I'm okay, nothing can happen to me, I want to go and become something else. That's not true. Because the Sanchita, as I said, the Papa standing in one's account has lends itself to so many animal forms and so many forms. Just because one is a human being this life, one got a human life by mistake, accidentally, by an accidental grace working overtime, one got this human life, doesn't mean that next life also one will be a human being. So this is not like the Darwinian evolution. This is a karmic evolution, in the sense that it's all dependent on one's desires and karmas. Kama and karma. That is what it is. And so here, the Jiva is the one who is self-ignorant. The animals are also self-ignorant, correct? Dog doesn't say aham brahmasmi, woof, woof, woof. Doesn't say that, right? But the nice thing about the dog is that it need not say that. Dog need not say, just the spelling mistake, I'm really God. It doesn't need to say that. D-O-G, G-O-D, I just have to flip the spelling and I will be that. It doesn't need to say that. Why? Because it's bhoktru sharira. Bhoktru sharira means it is a body, mind, sense complex crafted purely for the expending of karma, not collecting more karma. Yeah. Same thing, dog, cat, donkey. These are animals. That's why we say they are already free. They don't need this knowledge because they have no self-judgment. They don't have self-judgment. They don't stand in front of their closet and say, what will I wear tomorrow? They don't need to wear clothes. They don't go in for plastic surgery. They are okay as they are. This is the main difference between the sentience, in the animals. They are sentient, they are self-aware, but only to the extent of being able to survive from threats and to recognize their own species for the sake of reproduction. So they can recognize their own species, they can recognize the non-species so that if they are predators, they can go and hide. Beyond that, there is not. It's a very basic life in a certain sense. And it's a life that is under the umbrella of Ishvara because they don't go away from Ishvara's programming. The dog doesn't say, I want to come to America and I'll influence a few other dogs. No, it doesn't say that. It's immediately bhoktru sharira. Bhoktru sharira means it's a body meant for the expenditure of previous karma. It does not accumulate new karma. Same thing with the donkey. They have freedom of action. Like the donkey can kick, definitely. But they do not have freedom over action. The donkey does not have the freedom or the discernment to not kick. Just because somebody standing behind it happens to be a Swami. Oh, I better not kick. I will get Papa. No. Donkey will still kick if it is threatened. Correct? Yeah. This is the whole thing. Swami or Mami, it will kick. Mami means auntie. So whoever is standing, it will kick. So, but in the human life alone, there is both the quote-unquote curse of self-judgment, that I find myself unacceptable to myself. Self-non-acceptance. That looks like a curse, but the greatest blessing is the ability to overcome that. That is also in the human life alone. One can free oneself of this. One knows that one is ignorant, whereas in other life forms one is ignorant of ignorance, and here one has the God-given capacity to search for the truth of oneself. That is why the human life is seen as blessed. And so, therefore what? So the Jeeva means, doesn't matter human or animal, the one that doesn't have self-knowledge is called Jeeva. So how did Brahman become Jeeva? Brahman did not become Jeeva. So Jeeva became Jeeva. Wherever there is disconnection, there is Jeevahood. That's all. That's all it is. So the Jeeva is a projection of one's own self-ignorance. That's really what it is. It's a self-ignorance that is there. And so here, this is the world of fives, according to this fifth verse. Very beautiful. Panchas Srotombu means the rivers. Srota means rivers. Pancha, 5. The waters of 5 rivers, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And first let us just see the, what is its name? The meaning of the words, and then we will see what it stands for. Panchayoni. Panchayoni means the 5 causes. 5 causes. Ugravakram means the turnings. The 5 turnings because of the 5 causes. We'll just write it down or listen, and afterwards we'll see. Urmim here means wave. Pancha pranormim. So and then there is an ocean with 5 waves in the form of the 5 pranas. Pancha buddhi adi moolam. And the source of all these 5s is the buddhi. Buddhi and the operating 5, 5 pramanas. What are the 5 pramanas? Pancha pramanas. The ways, the 5 mula pramanas, sight, etc., sense organs. And then panchavartam. Avartam means the what are they called under the water? These things that go like that. You don't whirlpools. Avarti means whirlpools. Panchavartam, 5 whirlpools. Not the washing machine, okay? Yeah. 5 whirlpools. And then Pancha Dukkhauga Vegam. Vega is rapid. The 5 rapids of misery and 5 whirlpools. We'll see what that is. Those are. Panchashat Bhedam. Panchashat means 50. Bhedam is aspects. 50 aspects. Panchaparvam. Panchaparva means 5 branched ones. Adhimaha. We contemplate upon. Who is this we?
The sages.
The sages. Don't forget them, because they are the students, they are the teachers, they are the narrators, they are the ones that are taking this Upanishad forward. So what are the sages? Adhimaha. Adhimaha, we think of, we contemplate, we worship. We worship that one. Don't forget the one behind the 5, okay? Mm-hmm. That one that manifests as all these things. What are those things again? The one with the 5 rivers or streams, the one that has 5 turnings, and the one that has 5 pranas, and the one that has 5 ways of knowing in the world, operated by this one buddhi, which manifests in a 5-fold way. And then the one that has the 5 whirlpools, and the one that has the 5 rapids of emotions. and the one that has 50 manifestations, and then Panchaparvam, and the one that has 5 branches. They should have just even put Panchaksharam Adhimaha. Panchakshara means the one that is known through the 5-syllable mantra, Om Namah Shivaya. They should have included that also and completed one more 5 they could have done. But again a very mystical verse, very beautiful. So the 5 rivers, the 5 rivers, the waters of the 5 rivers are the 5 senses. Jnanendriyani. So this is answering the question, how did question number 3, which we discussed today, what is that? How does Brahman become Jeeva? So equipped with the 5 rivers, which are the 5 sense organs. And why are the 5 rivers, sense organs compared to the rivers? Because like the rivers, the sense organs flow towards their objects. And like the rivers, which does not stop working, if it encounters a mountain, what will the river do? It will go around it. Yeah. It won't go over it. If it's a small rock, it will go over it. But if it's a mountain, it will go around it this way or that way, it will go around it. And so therefore, these 5 sense organs, they don't leave anything in their efforts to make the Jagat known to this one. Who is the one? That is operating the 5 sense organs. That has been blessed with the 5 sense organs. The one who is, to whom the Jagat enters through these 5 rivers. Yeah. So that is why they have a certain kind of a force, and the sense organs also ceaselessly do their job. Because the eyes don't say suddenly I'm going to stop seeing from tomorrow. They don't say. Even if there is a problem in the eye, that is just because that is also part of the natural law. So like the rivers that flow in keeping with the natural law, and then they don't stop till they reach their destination. What is the river's destination?
Ocean.
Ocean. Abba. Okay. So the destination of the river is the ocean. So just like they don't stop until they reach the destination, come what may. If there is a mountain, they go around. If there are some cities built and they dam the river, they find another way. They split into 2, they have tributaries, they do all kinds of things. But they make sure they reach their destination. Similarly, the sense organs are compared to the rivers because they will definitely bring the Jagat into view. Right? So that is why the sense organs are called the 5 rivers or the 5 streams. And then Panchayoni Ugravakram. And these 5 streams have 5 turnings. Turnings here are called the causes. What are the 5 causes? What is it referring to?
The elements.
5 elements, out of which everything has come. Because you look at anything, you can find some element in it. Here if you look at pot, you immediately say earth. And everything has these 5 elements are the primary things out of which all the things have come into the universe. They are the 5 original causes. And then what's the next one? Then we have Prancha Pranormim. So in this ocean there are 5 waves, whose 5 waves are the 5 pranas. And the pranas are likened to the waves. Why? Because they have a sense of urgency. Number 1. Number 2, because they come and they go, like respiration. There is a certain rhythm. You can breathe to the rhythm of the ocean. Very beautiful. So that respiration and digestion, circulation, etc., they are all affected by the tides and the moon, so there is a certain kind of a resonance there. So full moon, there are certain things, when you eat, it digests very well. Yes. And new moon, certain things. That's why new moon, we don't eat much. Keep it light. We start, in fact, from the 11th day, Ekadashi, and then, the 15th day, that new moon day, it's a fasting time. But the full moon, you can eat as much as you want. And in the olden days, the grandmothers and the elder ladies in the house, especially if the children were fussy, on the full moon day, they would take them outside and then make these big pots of, rice and yogurt and all these things. And then no plates would be used on that day. And all the grandchildren would sit like this. And so the grandmother would put little balls of rice and you would eat. And then they would go around and you don't know how much you ate because no plate, you're not seeing the amount, you're in the moment and eating it one at a time. It was wonderful, and it was all happened under the full moon in silence. It was very beautiful. This is how we grew up. It was very nice. So the full moon, many things digest, many kind of, there is a kind of a resonance between the mind, the moon, the emotions, the prana, samana vayu, digestion vayu, everything. There is a certain kind of a resonance. So therefore, these 5 vayus are like the waves. They are strong at certain times and weak at certain times. And if we have to go with the flow, we just watch the moon and we watch the tides and we know what to do and what not to do. And this is all just basic, wisdom. Even in the West, it was there before. It was just that is what the Farmer's Almanac is all about. And if you read the Farmer's Almanac, they predict the winter, how difficult the winter will be, etc. Everything they say. So this is all the ancient ways of, the wisdom, which is, applied in the day to day. And then Pancha Buddhi Adi Moolam, Pancha Buddhyadi Moolam. So now this is a very interesting thing because these 5 buddhis means the 5 buddhis with the mind, along with the mind is talked about here. The 5 buddhis along with the mind. Buddhi here means what? Buddhi here means
Prama.
The 5 ways of knowing, pramana, One is what we talked about, the 5 sense organs. Then we have inference. Then we have more than one step inference, complex inference. Then the knowledge of similarity, like a zebra is like a donkey with stripes. That's a form of knowledge. Then finally, understanding of absence. That is also a means of knowing. And so these 5 means of knowing operated by what? The mind. Yeah. Moolam here means all this that we have discussed so far. What are those things we have discussed so far? The 5 pranas, before that the 5 elements, before that the 5 streams. The 5 streams represented what?
Senses.
The sense organs. All these things, they just are what? Their source is the mind. This is the Mahavakya. This is where that question, how did I become a samsari? How did I become a jiva? How did I become an individual? You did not. That mind is the one which observes all this. That is Ishvara. Mind here doesn't mean the one that succumbs to the, what's the word for it? That succumbs to all the emotions and all. Mind means Chidabhasa here. The place where the shine of Brahman, where does it shine? In the mind. It also shines in the nose and it shines in the toes. From the nose to the toes it shines everywhere. But where is that shine recognized? In the mind.
It means individual mind here?
Yeah. We are talking of how the individual is Ishvara. This is a Mahavakya.
But manas, individual manas.
Yeah, in the mind. Not by the mind, in the mind. So when I say I am is an awareness, correct? I am awareness. Where is it cognized?
The mind.
In the mind. But not by the mind. You see, there is a difference. Because even when the mind is not there, I am. And this has been demonstrated again and again by people, especially in the modern times, by people who have this PV, permanently vegetative state. And the people have been saying, okay, this person has no responses, completely the brain is a flat line, you cannot communicate with this person, locked in syndrome. But recently they have made a big breakthrough through using the magnetic resonance imagery technology. They have been able to communicate with these people. There was one man who was in coma for 12 years, nobody could interact with him, but because of this MRI they can interact, the doctors. And they were able to ask him his name, he told his name, again through this some kind of a sign language they have developed. They also asked, are you in pain? He said, not at all. So you see, this is what I'm talking about. It's not that the mind can be gone. The brain cells, we who think, the brain cells are doing the thinking, they can be gone, but there is a presence that because of which is dependent on on Ishvara, which is really Ishvara, on which the mind is dependent, which is independent of the mind. So that is what here is called mind. That I, which is cognized in the mind but not by the mind. And so, the same place where the I is cognized, there is a very interesting thing that is cognized, the Jagat. The whole Jagat with all these waves, and here it's again the individual, collective. So here we have the 5 pranas, and then here we have the waves and their connection to the mind and the collective, consciousness. And then we have again the individual, elements, 5 elements, how they obtain within this body. The blood is the water and the bones are the earth, etc. And then we have the 5 Mahabhutas, the Pancha Mahabhutas, the 5 elements. There is a connection between them. And then there is a connection between the observer, correct? And then Ishvara. Who is Ishvara? That is the connection. There is only one thing which is manifest as so many different things. And so the whole Jagat, the Jagat includes this body, mind, sense complex. Don't forget, don't say Jagat outside. It includes this as well. So the whole Jagat, about which one is so concerned, is really what? A mind spring. It has sprung from the mind. Because it's dependent upon this place. The mind here does not mean the mind. Mind here means the Chidabhasa, the place where the light of Brahman shines. So the place where the I is cognized is the same place where the Jagat is cognized. Very beautiful. That's what makes this a Mahavakya, and the next one is a really big Mahavakya. So very beautiful way of looking at it. So then here it says that the mind is the cause of the 5 elements. The mind is the cause of the 5 pranas. The mind is the cause of the sense organs. Why? Because all this inner Jagat, so to speak, is all dependent upon the observer. If the observer is not there, none of these can come into manifestation. And when I say observer, who is the observer? Ishvara. The I as in Ishvara, that original observer, that only one source of consciousness is all there is. And then, now that was the good part. Now we come to some not so good news. What is the not so good news? Panchavartam. 5 sneaky little whirlpools, And what are these whirlpools? And why are they sneaky? 5 whirlpools are the various objects. What kind of objects? Sense objects. The 5 sense organs go after which are called the sense objects. Meaning what? Objects of desire. Because until it is seen, it is not desired. You cannot want something you don't know. Oh, but I want to go and live in Mars. Somebody is planning some colonies in Moon and Mars. Really. By 2020, they want to send the first people to go live in condos. And these people are also funny because you can ask so many questions because you'll have questions, right? Okay, if I'm going to relocate to moon, then I should know. If I was there, I would say, will I have water supply at home? Those are the questions I would ask. But these people, the proposed tourists who are going to take up this offer and go and sit on the moon, they asked, will we be able to watch television? Really, I'm not making this up. I would say, will there be a bathroom? These are the main things I would ask. What about shower? Will there be water? How, will there be oxygen? These are the basic. Will there be 5 elements? These are the main things to ask. But these people, Brihaspatis means really terribly intelligent people. What did they ask? Because this was some kind of an anonymous questionnaire they gave. Thank God it was anonymous. So they gave a questionnaire, and in the questionnaire they said, will I be able to, my main concern is, will I be able to watch television? Where? On the moon. Yeah, so this is, so you can say, I can desire something that I don't know. I don't know moon, but I can desire it. But really speaking, you know that there is moon, you look at it every day, correct? And so all kinds of funny desires are there. But really they all are about things that are known. Only when things come to my mind as a possibility, then immediately the second question is, when is it going to be mine? Because the whole world is really divided into 2. What are they? Mine and not yet mine. So the individual's efforts are to make the not yet mine put them into the mine category. And that is a landmine in terms of spiritual growth. It's a big landmine. And so here, Panchavartam, those whirlpools are sneaky because you don't see them, the water seems very placid on the surface, but inside, latent, those whirlpools are always going on and on. So the desires are very latent. They don't come to the surface, but when they do, they catch you and rattle you like a rag doll. You feel helpless when in the spell of these desires. So this is called Panchavartam.
Important question is, it seems to me desires can't come from the sense organs themselves, must come from the mind, the same thing.
No, they come from past lives.
If that's not the mind?
That is, they come through the mind. Whereas, because the mind is the source of everything. They come from past lives. Mind also comes from past life. So, they all are there latent, and they come, sometimes you don't even know they are there. And then they catch hold of you, like a shark, and don't let you go. And you think, oh my God, I thought this is so easy. And sometimes one goes in and thinking, this is easy. I'll just do it one more time and nothing will happen. I'll come out of it. But then that one more time seems very costly. Like a person given to alcohol. Why don't you quit? Oh, it's very easy. I can quit anytime. I've already quit 35 times. They will say like that. So, these 5 whirlpools which are there like little sharks under the water, not above the water where you can see them. That's why they are called whirlpools. So in the same Ishvara, it manifests as the Jeeva, all these things are there. From the 5 elements to the 5 sense organs to the desires. And then, so where does the Jeeva come? The Jeeva comes in the way that it gets addicted to the desires. Whereas Ishvara is not addicted to the desires. So the Jeeva, the separation happens when the desire for this and that supplants or overtakes the desire to know oneself really. And all these other desires become very discrete, real things. And so that oneness is compromised. So Panchavartam, and then what do these whirlpools lead to? They lead to the rapids. Vegam. What kind of rapids? The rapids of the 5 misery. 5 misery rapids. Why are they called rapids? Because the desire quickly, very rapidly, very rapidly the desire gets converted into misery. Unfulfilled, of course it gets converted into misery because somebody else got it and I didn't get it. What about fulfilled? Then also it gets converted into misery. Because I wanted this and what did I get? I got it. Oh, that's great, you wanted it and you got it. But then what happened? Now I don't have money to take care of it. You see, so many things. So the desire becomes misery. Pancha dukkha augha vegam. And then what? Then for 5 rapids. So we have to think of 5 miseries. One, we'll start with the worst ones. The worst one is death, sad, misery. And then what else is there? Sickness. Number 2, death, sickness, old age. 3. And then birth is also a misery. Yeah. We don't see it often. But birth is a misery. And to this we also add prenatal problems. Yeah. The child also has a lot of difficulty in prenatal, the 9 months of so-called security in the, so from womb to tomb, it's just misery, misery, misery. And so and one time okay, and then you have to keep repeating it again, incarnation after incarnation, very, very difficult. So pancha dukkha vegam, and then, so this is the 5 rapids, rapidly coming into one's life, and then one which has 50 aspects. 50 aspects. So 5 branches and innumerable aspects. So the 5 branches are what? The 5 branches is basically the 5 main elements. Oh, but the 5 elements have already come before. Those elements were how the elements translate within the body, within the bodies of individual beings. And here the element is what? The 5 Mahabhutas, 5 main elements are the 5 branches, and then 50 aspects. 50 is just because everything else is 5, 5. The 50 is numerous aspects. Aspects means dimensions, numerous avatars, numerous names and forms which are there. So this 5, 5 is just a way of understanding. 5 is very nice because it's a very interesting number, and this answers the question the relationship between Brahman and Jeeva. Who is this Jeeva? And the Jeeva really is not anybody else except Brahman with an individual body, sense and mind, but at the same time the one that is mired in self-ignorance is called Jeeva. That is why the whirlpools leading to the rapids of misery. That is what makes the Jeeva. Yeah. The connection between the desire and sorrow makes the Jeeva here. The identification with the body-mind sense complex and the desire and the sorrow is what makes the Jeeva. This is what has to be seen. So we will stop here, and then next week there is Friday, there is no class, and because I will be traveling, and we will take a 1 month break, and then I will resume this in when is that? February sometime. I will let you all know. We'll send you an email with all the things. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Any questions out there?
Did I understand you correctly that you said that Jeeva is also an animal, not just a human being?
Yes, Jeeva means life form. That which lives. Jivati iti Jeevaha. That which lives. So anything sentient from plants also Jeevas. Yeah.
Thank you.
Also, by all these numbers there, making up a jiva, it reminds me of what Lord Buddha said, that we're just a bundle of stuff, that he didn't see unity in this bundle of stuff.
Yeah, there is unity, but it's not seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that
It's a
unity
bunch
is not
of-
just an individual, it's
Yeah.
beyond individual.
It's
not
an
just-
aggregate of all kinds of things. That is why it's called Karya Karana Sanghata, the aggregate of the body, mind, sense complex, and each thing that is counted already is falling apart the more you count
Yes.
it. But the observer alone is the uncounted one. And counting the observer, then you don't have to count anything else. Yeah. It's like counting clay rather than pots.
Observer, which is not the mind, but is reflected somehow in the mind.
In the mind. Reflected in the mind, but not the mind. The observer is not a thought. I am observing is not a thought. Yeah. I am the observer is not a thought. It occurs in the mind because that's the only place where everything comes to light. That's why it's called mind. And so we have to see that even this knowledge happens in the mind, but not by the mind.
Is it like the moon reflecting in the water?
Yes, people say that. There is a whole school of thought which we finished discussing earlier. When was that? The 8th chapter, Panchadashi. Yeah, in Panchadashi we discussed that in detail, and in Panchadashi it said that, very beautiful imagery was given. There is a sunlight falling on the wall, because of which you see the wall. And then there is a little, children play games. You make a mirror. Mirror also reflect in the sun on the wall. So you think there are two lights. There is the sunlight and the mirror light. But really speaking, there is only one light, which is neither the wall light nor the mirror light, which is really the sunlight that is powering the wall and powering the mirror, which is very interesting. So that which powers the mirror and the wall is only one light. So we forget that and we say, oh, the mirror light is shining brightly. So the mirror light is used to gain knowledge of specific objects. And the sunlight is the one that is constant, which is that light of Atma, the light of the observer. It's constant and it shows it lights up the spaces, and the mirror lights are discrete thoughts. It lights up the spaces in between the thoughts and their absence and presence all together. But it is the one that never goes off. That is how that whole chapter is a very beautiful chapter. Yeah.
Na tatra suryo.
Na tatra suryo bhati. Exactly. Yeah. Very beautiful. Yes.
So you mentioned about that if you're not pursuing self-knowledge and you're distracted by everything else, that there's that separation, but isn't that more just a sense of separation?
Yeah, but if you
can
don't know if
never-
it's a sense of separation, you take it seriously, right?
Right.
And you fall into the 5 miseries.
Right.
Yeah.
You never ever really separate, you just
No,
think you are.
no, you think you are.
Yeah.
And the thought is powerful. Thought has forms. Yeah. So,
I was struck with when you were speaking of the misconception that
Yeah.
the Brahma would be exhausted
Yeah.
by Jeeva,
Yes.
that actually the Purnamadaha, Purnamadam
Yes.
is the argument
Yes.
completely
Correct.
that blasts that.
Yes, absolutely. You know a lot, which is good. Oh, look at that. You're getting prasad before class? How did that happen?
I'm giving it away.
I thought you had